probably should have got this all ready before I pressed record. Hello and welcome to my living room on this, the hottest day of the year so far, which is why I'm all sweaty. And I didn't put makeup on, because fuck that. Who wants to do that when it's like 100 degrees? Who wants to do that when it's like 100 degrees? Who wants to do that when it's like 100 degrees? Zero people. But I've got a little extra time, so I'm gonna film a quick video for you. And that is going to be a video idea that I have stolen from other booktubers, and that is looking at the best books I have read and what I actually thought about them. So going on Goodreads and looking at the highest rated books that I have read and seeing whether my rating matches. And I'm just gonna go through like as many as I feel like from the top of my list, maybe like down to the 3s. I'll do like all of the 4s, mention like the most interesting ones. And then maybe we'll flip it and I'll look at the ones that are lowest rated overall and what I thought about those as well. That could be fun, right? Right? I don't know. Got my laptop here, got Goodreads going on. Actually, on the top of my list with a rating of 4.8 is Danger by a fellow author tuber. Links in the doobly-doo. Their book is on top, which is cool, but also it doesn't have like a ton of ratings, so it's a little bit easier for it to sort of rise to the surface. However, I did give it 5 stars. Actually, you can listen to it, or you could anyway, listen to it for free on YouTube, and I've already done so twice, so I really enjoyed it. Let's go down the list. Naturally, there's some Harry Potter on here. Yes, I have read all of the Harry Potter books. Even though I've kind of grown past them now, I think about rereading every now and then. I'm just like, meh. They just don't interest me anymore, which is fine. That works out well because, as we all know, their author is a big old smelly turf. So, but what did I think about the books? The one that is rated highest is actually one of my lowest rated ones, and that is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, which is rated 4.62 overall, and I only gave it 2 stars. Can I even remember the plot of The Deathly Hallows? Is that the last one? Is that the final book? I remember thinking the final book was kind of bloated. Unnecessarily chunky. So if it's the final book, that's probably why. But I can't even remember if that's the last. It's number 7, so I think it is the last one, yes. However, right below it is The Prisoner of Azkaban, which was my favorite of the Harry Potter books, which I rated at 4 stars. So not perfect, but definitely my favorite of the series. I know it's kind of a cliche. Lots of people have Prisoner of Azkaban as their favorite, but it stands alone pretty well, and I think that's why I like it. It's kind of got its own self-contained story, and so you can read it ignoring all of the other ones if you want to, and I think that's why I liked it. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, I gave 3 stars. Again, I remember being bored. Alright, I'm sick of the Harry Potter ones, so let's keep going here. The Hate U Give has a rating of 4.5, and I gave it 5 stars. I really liked The Hate U Give. I know that it is kind of blackness for white people, but I'm a white people, so here we go, some controversy. Six of Crows, I gave it 2 stars. It has a 4.49 overall. It let me down. I was promised so much, and all of it felt so shallow. Everyone was always talking about all these relationships and these characters, and they're so deep, and it's amazing. And like, none of them meant anything to me. I was like waiting to fall in love with these characters like everyone said I would, and I didn't care about any of them. But I think it was overhyped, and as a result, I ended up extra special disappointed. I'm not looking at every single one that I encountered, just the more interesting ones. Oh, here we go. Gemina, the second book in the Illuminae files. Hated it. 1 star. It has an overall rating of 4.45. I did not like it. I was expecting the books to get better as they went, and I felt that they got worse. So I know a lot of people really loved the second one, but that was a big old nope from me. We've got Sculpt Yourself by fellow author tuber Savvy of Savvy Writes Books, and that is sitting at a 4.44. I gave it 4 stars. Lots of 4s going on. I definitely enjoyed my experience with it. However, I definitely wouldn't call it a perfect book, or at least the perfect book for me. My rating is like, how do I feel about the book? Not, do I think this is a masterpiece overall? And I think while I enjoyed it, it was also just sort of there and not really anything that was going to stick with me. Like, I don't really remember much about it, so Great experience while I was experiencing it, but no overall lasting impact. Also, it was one of Savvy's only books that has an audiobook. Savvy, if you're listening, more audiobooks, please. I know it's a pain in the ass, but if you can find a way to do it, those of us who really only have time to listen to audiobooks, or those of us who are seeing impaired, would love more audiobooks. Ender's Game, Volume 1, I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was fine. I don't really remember much about it. I do remember I thought it maybe went on a little bit long sometimes. Like some of the scenes maybe just were like too much, but I still enjoyed it. I only gave the Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green 3 stars out of the overall score being 4.4. It was fine, but I was a little bit disappointed in it. I think I was just kind of looking for something else, like a little bit different from what it turned out to be, and so it was a little bit disappointing. Also, I kind of just listened to it all in like 2 sittings, which I actually wouldn't recommend. It definitely strikes me as like a better coffee table book where you like pick it up, read an essay or 2, set it down. I kind of don't recommend the sort of binge method that I did. Raybearer has been very popular and it's sitting at 4.39, and I wanted to love it, but I could only give it 3 stars. I was underwhelmed. I was promised a lot of found family and it just didn't deliver. It was one of those situations where we were told that a character is close to a lot of other characters without being shown it, and that really disappointed me. So even though I liked the magic system and I thought it was interesting and there were some interesting relationships, it wasn't quite what I was promised, and so it let me down. I still would probably read book 2 at some point, I just don't know when. The Book Thief, I read it a long time ago and I only gave it 3 stars. It's at 4.38, and I know that it's a popular one, but I was kind of like meh about it. I don't know why. Maybe it is because, like, some people love the fact that Death is the storyteller, but I think it kind of kept me feeling separated from the main character in some way. And also, I feel like I found it just a little bit too saccharine, if that's the right word, like too expected, like this story about the Jewish experience. Even though there are twists on it, like, you know, the whole book thief angle, it felt very samey. It felt like, yes, we've heard this story a bunch of times, and I know that's going to get me in trouble, and people are going to be like, how dare you, but it didn't do anything special. However, The Prince and the Dressmaker, which is a graphic novel, and it has a score of 4.38, 5 stars. I love it. It's adorable. I've read it a couple of times. It is just like, if you are looking for a feel-good graphic novel, holy moly. It's dialogue light, which I love in a graphic novel. I don't like when graphic novels are heavy on the dialogue, because then I'm like, why is this just not a novel? So the art style is great and interesting, and I just love it so much. So if you need to feel good, read The Prince and the Dressmaker. Oh my goodness. The Great Alone, you guys know that I loved that one, gave it 5 stars. I've listened to it like 3, maybe 4 times. I just love it so much. Tried something else by that author and did not care for it, so I think this is just kind of a one-hit wonder type of situation, but oh my goodness, mwah, chef's kiss. I gave Crown of Midnight, the second in the Throne of Glass series, 1 star. I don't really remember much about it except being like, what is this? Like, I didn't hate the first book. I was like, okay, this is at least entertaining, cool, whatever, we'll read the second one. And then I was like, I hate this. I hate everything about this. I gave A Conjuring of Light, which is Shades of Magic Book 3. Is that what it's called? I don't even remember the title. I only gave it 3 stars. I was not a big fan. I liked the first book in that series, and then the other 2 were just letdowns all the way. The Glass Castle, I feel like, is one that is kind of controversial for a lot of people. I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting and meaningful, and like, I know that some people I like, well, she embellished, or she made up some of those stories, and I'm like, I don't really care. I don't really care. Like, it's her story, she told it. I don't care if everything is 100% factual. Although a lot of people have been like, we don't believe the beginning part where she was like cooking hot dogs by herself. And I'm like, y'all didn't grow up poor, did ya? Because, yeah. But for the grace of God, I could have been pouring hot dog water on myself. I wasn't as young as she was, but like, yeah. The Hobbit, of course, 5 stars from me. Still one of my all-time favorites to reread. Just very comforting. Overall, it only has a rating of 4.28, so what the heck are you people doing? Strange the Dreamer got 2 stars from me. I think it was another case of overhyped. Just, everybody was like, Strange the Dreamer, best book ever, oh my gosh. I got to it and I was like, this is the best book ever? I also gave 2 stars to Pride and Prejudice. Come at me. I wanted to give it a chance because everyone's like, oh my gosh, Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen. And I mean, I can see that the woman had chops, for sure. Her style just isn't for me. The style of the time, not for me. Styles change. I prefer the more modern writing style. And then There Were None by Agatha Christie, which is sitting in an overall rating of 4.27. I gave 3 stars. Again, something I thought was fine, but maybe was a little bit overhyped. And I didn't like that I couldn't really figure out who was the one behind it at the end. I prefer a mystery where I could potentially solve it. The Diviners Book 3 got 2 stars from me. I liked The Diviners. And then I felt like they went downhill. The first Diviners book felt pretty clever, pretty snappy, pretty different. And then the next one's just like face planted. Princess Bride is up here with 4.26, and I gave it 3 stars. The movie's better. The movie's better, quite frankly. And finally, I'm going to stop here. Stephen King's It, I gave 1 star. Surprising no one, because you probably watched my video where I talked about hot takes are me and my husband's least favorite things. So I'm going to stop here. It has a rating of 4.24. Now I'm going to go ahead and flip and see the lowest rated things on my list and what I thought of them. Okay, I don't know how many ratings it has overall, but Inside Jobs, Tales from a Time of Quarantine, it was like 3 short stories, and it might have been only on Audible, and I listened to it sort of early in the quarantine period, and I liked it. I gave it 4 stars. Thought there was a lot of promise there. Especially one of the stories I thought could have been a whole novel. I wish that it felt like the beginning of a novel. I wish that the person had kept going. Zenith is here, surprising no one. I gave it 1 star. Cyborg Tinkerer, samesies. Did the Cyborg Tinkerer get a higher score than Zenith? No, Zenith got a higher score. Zenith is sitting at 3.10. And Cyborg Tinkerer is sitting at 2.83. I probably shouldn't have even counted Zenith because I should probably go below the 3s here. Nothing But Blackened Teeth. I was pretty hyped for it by the description and then ended up giving it a 2. And other people seem to agree because it's sitting at a 2.81. Alright, I guess we have to dip into the 3s just a little bit just to see. A lot of the lowest rated ones are also ones that I have in my read-along shelf, which counts them as read, I guess, to put them on a shelf, but I've not read them yet. Swords and Scoundrels is down here at 3.24, and I gave it 4 stars. I talked about that in the Unpopular Opinions video as well. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed my time with it. I don't remember much about it other than that, but I remember having fun. And 4 stars worth of fun, apparently. Here's one that's kind of unusual. I think a lot of people really like The Cabin at the End of the World, although it is sitting at 3.31, so maybe not, but I gave it 1 star. Like, that for a little while was pretty hyped on BookTube, and then I tried it out and was like, no. I don't remember much about it, but clearly I didn't like it. And I'm going to stop with Alexa Dunn's The Stars We Steal, which is sitting at a 3.46, which is close to 3.5, still pretty respectable, but it is on the low end, and I gave it, how many stars? 3 stars. I thought it was fine. Nothing special, pretty average, but I didn't hate my experience reading it either. So I'm going to stop there. What did you guys think about this video overall? Or like, were you surprised by any of the results? Or am I pretty predictable? I feel like I'm very predictable, so you probably could have guessed what many of these were going to be. But I hope this was an enjoyable video for you anyway. But now I'm going to stop filming and turn all the fans back on, so me and the dog are not like dying because it's super warm. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget that you can check out my books, which are available on Amazon, or you can just follow any of the other links below to my social media. If even that isn't enough for you, I also have a Patreon where for as little as $1 a month you can get exclusive content not seen here on the regular channel, including more regular updates. Like, a lot of people have a newsletter. I just kind of keep people updated on Patreon because then I can just update people whenever I have something to say instead of a newsletter where I feel like I have to have something to say like every month or whatever, or every week, or whenever people put out newsletters. I don't even know. Anyway, yes, check out my Patreon for the latest updates keeping up with me and my life. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see all of you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye! In other news, I am the meanest cat mom in the world because I wouldn't let Giorgio eat a bee and instead took the bee outside, which was very disappointing to Giorgio.
Ohana means family. Family means nobody
gets left behind
or forgotten.
Unicorn Jenny, Celia, SV, Taya, Alyssa, Rita, Deborah, My96, Afra, Melissa, AC, Swamp Goblin Waifu, Sophia, Merween, Kit, Light Julie, Belle, Patrick, Anne Sophie, Callison, Ray, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Rennie, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Lisa, and Sarah. Fun fact, y'all, I used to be able to write down all of your names on a note card to read them off, but now you take up an entire notebook page. Y'all are awesome, and I appreciate you. They were popular, please. It's all about popular. It's not about aptitude, it's the way you're viewed, so it's very shrewd to be very, very popular, like me.